What is stress? Stress is a dynamic condition in which individual is confronted with an opportunity, constraints or demands that relate to what he or she desires, and for which the outcome is perceived to be both uncertain and important. So, if the outcome of any behaviors or any things, the outcome is uncertain and at the same time important, people who perform their actions or their activities can experience stress. So that's what is meant by stress. So the key point is the outcome can be both uncertain and important. And stress also is not necessarily bad. It is important to have slightly a level of stress in our life, because without stress we are not motivated to achieve something that we want to achieve. So there are two types of stressor. A stressor is actually the cause of stress. So stressors or stressor is the cause of stress. So challenge, there are two types of stressor: challenge stressor and also hindrance stressor. So challenge stressors associate with workloads, pressure to complete tasks, and time urgency. So challenge operate differently from hindrance. So hindrance, that's something that hinder us from getting or from achieving what we want to achieve. So challenge is something that challenge us to achieve something. That hindrance is something that block us or something that prevents us from reaching our goals. For example, red tape. So when we talk about red tape, we talk about some bureaucracy in the organizations. Office politics, confusion over job responsibility can be the example of hindrance stresses. Early evidence suggests that challenge stressors are producing less strain than hindrance stresses. So between these two stresses, this has more negative effect compared to challenge stresses. So condition under which each type of stress exists. So employee with strong affective commitment can transfer psychological stress into greater focus and high sales performance. So remember, in previous chapter we talked about organizational commitment. So organizational commitment consists of three levels: affective commitment, continuous commitment, and normative commitments. So effective commitment is referring to identifications with the values and goal of the organization. So if employee having effective commitments, that means their values, their goal are in line with the organization goals and values and so on. So those employees who have stronger effective commitment to their organizations can transfer psychological stress, whatever stress they have, into greater focus into something good. Can also lead to higher sales performance. And employees with low level of commitment, that means those who have low level of commitment, can perform quite worse under stress. So those who have low level of commitment, they cannot able to manage the stress. So when challenge stress increase, those with high level of organizational support have high role-based performance. So for those who experience stress, especially come from challenge stress, if they receive support from the organizations or from their managers, they could be able to achieve performance in terms of role-based performance. But those with low level of organizational support cannot be able to achieve this role-based performance, because they already have that kind of challenge stressor. That means they have high workloads, they have pressure to complete the task, they have deadline to chase, but at the same time they didn't receive support from the organization, didn't receive support from the managers, so they will not be able to achieve the performance they will not be able to achieve high performance compared to those who receive support from the organizations and also from the managers. So this slide is regarding the source of stress in life. Is indicating here financial worries and also work can be the source of stress to individuals. So financial worries and work considered very important, that can cause most of the stress. Others, for example, family responsibility, health concern. These are also quite high, but compared to all these, financial worries and work consider the most important that cause stress. So here, as you can see, these slides, the stress that people experience, for example, 64% normally stress accompanied with the symptom. It's not just stress, but it also have symptom. And 31% they have stress but still manageable. That means they do not have symptom that come with the stress. And low level of stress, of course, normally low level, the symptoms are not really important. It's not really strong, or not really affecting them so much. But for those 64% actually, this stress that they experience also accompanied with the other symptom that consider not good for the health. So as you can see here, model of stress. Potential source of stress consists of environmental factors, organizational factors, and personal factors. And the consequence of this stress or source of stress can be physiological symptom. When we talk about physiological symptom, we talk about physical effects on us in terms of health, in terms of our body reacts to this stress. So environmental factors consist of economic uncertainty. When we talk about factors that cause that stress or source of stress, economic uncertainty can become a source of stress, because economic uncertainty relating to financial uncertainty, so this can lead to stress. Political uncertainty also quite important, because this will determine the economic and so on. Technological change also can be a source of stress, because sometimes employees have to learn this technology, and it can be a change, it can be a challenge, it can be a stressful situation to them. Organizational factor, for example, in terms of task demand, role demands, and interpersonal demand can be source for stress. So task demand is related to factor that relate to the person job, such as autonomy, task variety, automation, whether it is automatics or whether it is manual, and also in terms of physical work layout, that means work environments. When we talk about role demands, this is also source of stress. Role demand is related to the functions role of the employees that they play in the organizations. Interpersonal demand is a demands is a pressure or demand from other employees that are put on the individuals. So personal factors that cause the stress can be family problems, can be economic problems. See here, economic problems and economic uncertainty, they are even though this is part of the personal factor, this is part of the environmental factors, this indicate that economic is very serious source of stress. So this individual difference, so potential stress can be affecting individual because of individual differences in terms of perceptions, in terms of job experience, in terms of social support and personality traits. So here is depending upon the personality traits. Not all individual will experience stress. Maybe some individual will experience strong effect of stress, depend on the personality. For example, those who have neuroticism personality traits will have more serious effects of having stress on their other physiology, and either on their psychology or on their behavioral symptom. And cultural differences also can be the mediators that they contribute to the effects of having stress. So physiological symptoms are related to the health, physical health, for example, immediate effects in terms of illnesses, in terms of chronic health condition, and so on. Psychological symptom is of course having effects, the stress have effects on individual in terms of psychological problems such as anxiety, emotional well-being, and lower job satisfactions. Behavioral symptoms normally more related to management or work settings, such as having lower job performance, higher absenteeism. So the effect of stress on behavior, those who are having stress normally tend to have lower job performance, higher absenteeism, that means they always absent from work, and higher turnover, that means the tendency to resign is also higher. And anxiety, that's mean feeling unconscious, feeling nervous, feeling anxious, having emotionally unstable, and having low job satisfaction. This is the psychological symptom of having stress. A physiological symptom here, maybe there will be some illnesses, chronic health such as cardiovascular problems, heart disease problems, and so on. So we're going to discuss in detail about this in the previous slides. So cultural differences here, cultural differences, research suggests that job conditions that cause stress have show some differences across culture. So what is meant here, stress can have a job condition that cause the stress can have different effects on different culture. For example, US employees are more are stressed by lack of control, while Chinese employee feeling stressed because of job evaluation and lack of training. So you can see here job condition that leads to stress different depend on the cultures. Research also show that stress, however, all research show that stress is equally bad for employees of all culture. So what to say here, in general, stress is bad for all cultures, but the job conditions that cause the stress is actually different based on the cultures. So consequence of stress, first is physiological symptoms. That's what is indicated here, physiological symptom. Research suggests that a job condition, physiological symptom research support the link between stress and poor health. So the stress, the research come up with all these finding. For example, stress create changes in metabolism. So that's when increased changes in metabolism. So stress increase heart and breathing rates and blood pressure. So if people having blood pressure because of stress, it can have negative consequences on their general health. So this can have this in effect can lead to also can let employees to experience headache and induce heart attacks. So can be serious to the experience heart attacks. Evidence also suggests that stress may have harmful physiological effects. So in general, they have harmful physiological effects. And study also indicate that stressful job demands to increase stressful job demand can have high susceptibility to upper respiratory illnesses. When we talk about respiratory illnesses, it's related to our lung, our breathing system, and poor immune system. So stress actually can weaken our immune system. Our immune system protects us from our body, from danger, from threats, from virus, from bacteria, and so on. So if our immune system weak, become poor, this actually easy for our body to get infectious or to get disease, so easy to get illnesses. And this also especially affected those with low self-efficacy. So those with low self-efficacy mean those with low confidence in themselves. They perceive themselves as something that is not worth it. They always have kind of negative perception about themselves. If they have a good perception about themselves, believe in their ability to change, so this actually stress will have less effects compared to those with low self-efficacy. Psychological symptom normally relates to the psychological effects such as job satisfaction is also can be obvious cause of stress, not only anxiety, mental problems, and so on. So it is important to know the consequences of stress because it will affect the performance of the job eventually. So